Breaking trade news, let's cross over to Bloomberg's McKee for the latest. Mike.
John, trade wars may be underway. The first shots fired by the Trump administration. Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross just telling reporters a few moments ago that the U.S. will go ahead and impose those 25% steel, 10% aluminum tariffs on the rest of the world starting at midnight tonight. The president had announced them over 2 months ago, but had given an exemption to a number of countries while they worked on negotiating some kind of bilateral deal. Unfortunately for Canada, Mexico, and the European Union, those deals did not materialize, and the president is going to go ahead and impose those tariffs at midnight tonight. Other countries that did not reach agreement with the United States, including Japan, also subject to the tariffs. A few countries did reach agreements on quotas, including South Korea, Australia, Brazil, and Argentina. They will not be subject to the tariffs for right now. So the question is, how do those other countries react? The Commerce Secretary says the president is still willing to negotiate. He does have the power to amend the tariffs, but he wants to see what the reaction is from the rest of the world.
Well, just in terms of the reaction to the markets at the moment to this news, the reports were out there ahead of it becoming official, Mike, and we saw some of the price action develop. Weakness in the Canadian dollar in G10, weakness in the Mexican peso in emerging markets, and a bit of a bid into treasuries and equities come down just a little bit. Mike, to your point, how do the allies respond to all of this? How does Europe respond? Mexico, Canada, never mind a response in terms of an escalation. What can they actually do to get the United States to back down, to give them another exemption? What can they do in terms of concessions?
Well, those are two separate questions. One is, do they concede anything? The European Union's position has been it is willing to negotiate, but not unless it is given a permanent exemption from the tariffs, which Wilbur Ross said today the United States is not willing to do. So that leaves the ball in the Europeans' court. They have suggested they will impose tariffs on politically sensitive items like bourbon whiskey from Mitch McConnell's home state of Kentucky, blue jeans from Nancy Pelosi's San Francisco area, and on agricultural products. Canada and Mexico have also said they will impose retaliatory tariffs. Now, we're engaged in the NAFTA negotiations. Ross said today that those negotiations had not moved far enough to justify continuing the exemptions, but perhaps if more progress was made in those negotiations, it would outweigh the national security aspect of the steel and aluminum tariffs, and they could come off again. So there are some possibilities on either side of the equation, according to the Commerce Secretary. The question is whether the other countries see it that way.